Howdy neighbors, welcome to the Homestead here today. Appreciate you joining me today for another episode of Porch Talk. And today we're going to be talking about a what if scenario. What if our economy crashes? And it may not be quite like everyone would think it would be, so we're going to discuss that a little bit today and kind of give my views on it. And I want to say before we get started that if you are not a subscriber, we'd appreciate you subscribing. And it doesn't cost you a dime. Just hit that subscribe button. While you're there, a little notification bell pops up after you subscribe. If you click on that, you'll be notified each week when we upload videos. And it shows that we're getting a lot of response, according to YouTube, through that by people hitting that notification bell. And then I try to have these uploaded around 7 o'clock on Tuesday night. So if you like watching, we appreciate having you. And we want to say thank you so much for all of our loyal viewers. The old and the new alike. We appreciate you all so much and all of the wonderful, nice comments we've had. And I tell you, there's a lot of nice, good people out there, and we certainly appreciate you very much. And anyway, I'll get right on into today's subject. And first, I want to talk about what if we had an economic collapse. But before I get into the what if, explain why a lot of us feel we could have an economic collapse. Now, if we don't, fine. I hope we don't. I'm hoping and praying for the best, but I'm preparing for the worst. And I know as long as I've got God on my side, I'm going to make it. But let me explain something to you. The reason we think like we do is for a long time, it's been my opinion that there has been a push to bring our economy down. One of those reasons was because they would like to be more of a level playing field. Mexico, old Mexico I'm talking about, would bring their standard of living up, bring ours down. Even out Canada, United States, Mexico, and not just these three countries, but around the entire world. And we've seen they've got little regions of money set up, the euro over there in Europe, and now people are wanting out of the European Union and stuff, and they're having trouble getting out. Once you get into these things, it's hard to ever get out. But nonetheless, they started things here like NAFTA. And NAFTA was something that it was designed to bring our economy down, to get rid of our good paying jobs, send them to other countries, bring their standard of living up while bringing ours down, and try to get us all on a level playing field. And that would probably be okay if all of Canada, United States, and Mexico all had the same thoughts and all had the same form of government, had the same constitution, the same Supreme Court, yada, yada, yada. But they don't. We're all different. But anyway, they tried to do that. And it's not just a Democrat thing. I've heard people blame the Democrats for NAFTA. The Republicans have been in this just as much. So both parties are guilty. But it was a step to try to do that. And it was also under the guise of a humanitarian thing because Mexico has always been a poorer country than the United States. And there's probably reasons behind that, whatever, but they're trying to do that. But around the world, well, the problem is the United States has always done very well. Our money system is the currency, the U.S. dollar is the standard for the world. So I remember President Obama giving a speech one time where he told the United Nations that he would be for a one world currency. The only way to bring down all of the nations into a level playing field, China definitely is for this, and they have made comments that they would be for a one world currency, but it would be because the money could be controlled. Whoever controls the purse strings is got it all. And we're heading to a new world order, a one world government, a one world currency. The elites, the very wealthy elitist, they've conquered as much as they can. Now they want to conquer the world. And so to do that, they would have to control the economic system. And but anyway, Obama had mentioned that he was for a one world currency. Well, what would happen was we would no longer be able to print our own money if that happened. Now, here in the United States, we have, we say they're printing more money. Like every time they give out these big stimuluses and all that, our country's already broke, we're in debt, and we say, well, they're printing more money. Technically, they're really not printing it in paper dollars. They're just electronically out of the air creating money. And so it would be dumb for the United States to give this ability up, because it'd be like getting rid of the golden goose that laid the golden eggs, the goose that laid the golden eggs. Getting rid of that animal would be dumb. Or selling your cash cows, your cows that's making you money every year. Why would you get rid of them? So in the process of things, the United States has always been, because we are such a diverse country. I mean, all the 50 states, and the states pretty much are supposed to be meant to run themselves. I know every year we give up more and more of our state rights, and the federal government comes on. Just for instance, the federal government subsidizes everything now. If your state has an emergency, they declare a federal emergency, and so that federal dollars start rolling in. Well, to me, the states ought to take care of their own selves financially. But they've gotten so spoilt to the federals, and we've allowed this to happen, that now we have a few people that is, very hard to get rid of, people that do not hold Oklahoma interest at heart. We have a couple of senators here from Oklahoma, but then we have to listen to what all the others want to do. It was supposed to be the other way around. The states were supposed to control themselves, and then the states, we had a federal mostly to protect our country, and very limited. But now it's gone the other way. Now the states have very limited power, and the feds have more power. But in the process of all that, we depend upon the federal government to fund our schools. We depend on them. Used to, our schools around here were funded by the locals. They weren't funded by even the state level. They were just local. The county folks, they took care of the schools. People donated, volunteered, different things to keep schools going. Now it's all on the state level, and then they depend upon the federal level. So we are controlled more and more on a federal level, and they're getting us used to it. And one day we will be controlled as in a one world order by the United Nations or some other type of entity. But without getting too far out on that, our finances, we've always been blessed in the United States that we could just create more money. But when they do that, also we do go in debt. And then someone argued one day on one of my videos saying we don't go in debt, but we do. The United States sells bonds, and it is more financially sound for the United States to sell off bonds, treasury bonds or T-bills. But the problem is, there's only so many people willing to lend us money. And used to, during wartime, they would have war bonds, and that was to help finance the war. And they'd pay a little better interest than you could get at the bank, and you keep that for 3, 5, 10, whatever different amounts of time. And if you bought a $50, $100 savings bond, whatever, they had different ways of doing it, but you were investing in the government. And if you did that, there'd come a time you could cash it in and reap the benefits of it. People still do that. There was a man here when I was growing up that had done that way back. He said he loaned the government money. Well, basically, he just bought treasury bonds. And anyway, he invested in the government. So it'd be better for him to do that and pay it back than it would be to just print money out of thin air. Because what basically happens, or electronically make it, wouldn't it be nice if you needed $100 to pay something, and you just went on your computer and it just electronically put it in your bank account, and you had it just out of thin air just because you wanted to do it. And there's been people before gotten caught by making their own money. They had stencils and stuff, and they would forfeit. Forfeit. That's not the word I'm looking for, but forge money. You know, they would make fake money, go out and use it, and still people do it today. And foreign countries are doing it. It's a big thing for the Secret Service. Has groups that go into foreign countries and catch counterfeiters, what the word I was trying to look for. But they go in and they counterfeit our money, countries do, and mix it into the system. So one of these days, we're going to end up as a cashless society. That's the whole goal of it all. One thing is they could control counterfeiters. They could control the drug trade because they could know where all the money's going, and this cash thing that we have, eventually it's going to go cashless, and it's going to be a control thing, a power thing, and all that. But if we are brought down financially, I believe there are forces, foreign and domestic, at work, and have been at work for years, and are especially at work right now in our country trying to bring it down. Our president has done a wonderful job of our economy. I think he's done a wonderful job with the virus. I think he's done a wonderful job on all levels. If you don't like it, I don't care, but I believe he's done wonderful. But especially with the economy. And China don't like it. There's entities right here domestically that do not want us to succeed, because if we succeed financially, and we still are, even with all of this going on, the economy is still chugging along. I don't know how it is, but it is. But I can see that with the giving out all of these stimuluses and borrowing all this money or printing up all this money, doing everything they do, is going to catch up with us. And but still, with all of doing all of that, all the things that's against us, we keep going on, and it's because we're such a unique society, a unique country, and also because we have God on our side. And as long as we have God on our side, there are righteous people that God is supernaturally blessing. We have a man that just passed here in our state, Herman Cain, and a very good godly man, a very successful man, and I believe he was blessed because he had God on his side. The Bible talks about Jacob, and Jacob in the Bible had to, it's Isaac in the Bible, but he had to go to there was a drought, and his father had went to Egypt, and God told Isaac not to go to Egypt. So he didn't go there. He went to another country, and of the Philistines. And while he was there, the Lord supernaturally blessed him so much that they finally asked him to leave because he was getting so powerful there in the country. You can't outrun the blessings of God if you're living for Him. He's going to bless you. He's going to take care of you. So in that, we still have, believe it or not, we still have God-fearing people. I realize it's getting further between, and evil seems to be in control more and more, but we still have godly people. And we have people that aren't godly, but God chooses to use them in miraculous ways to bless the godly. And so anyway, in our country, no matter how much they try, they're having trouble bringing it down. There's forces out there that wants to bring our country down to its knees. They want us to surrender. They want us to take a knee. They want us to take our flags down. They want us to quit being patriotic. They want us to surrender to the realm of evil. And it's coming. There's going to be a day when we will have a cashless society. That's coming, the mark of the beast. The Bible mentions that. That will be the biggest thing with the mark of the beast will be control. But in that control, they will control the purse strings. And whoever controls the money controls whatever it is. If it's a church, the person that controls the money and has control over it usually controls the church. Should be God controlling the church, but oftentimes it's the person controlling the money. In the household, the person that handles the checkbook is usually the one that controls the family. And it's just a fact. So who controls our money? Well, let's get in for just a minute. I could go on and on with that subject, but I believe we're headed down a bad slope because we have evil people that are doing evil things. And just for an example, they've been giving out $600 a week extra unemployment on top of what your state would pay. Now, I'm all for that if you truly lost your job and you need help. But if your job is open back up, you need to go back to work. But because of that, there are people right around in our community, and I'm sorry if you're someone I know and you've told me you're doing this and you're doing it, I'm not mentioning any names, but there are people in our actual community here that are not working, that could be working, but they are choosing to draw this extra $600 a week. Their jobs would not be in harm's way of the virus. Some, I can understand some may be staying home for the virus, but most of the people we know that have drawn this other $600 a week and saying they can't go to work because they're afraid they'll catch this virus, they go to Walmart, they go to the casinos, they go to Branson, they go everywhere else. So that's a bunch of baloney. Now, if you really are scared to go to work and you've got health conditions and can't go to work, honestly can't go to work, and you're not going out getting into everything else, then hey, I feel for you. And I think you need help. There's some people that's been laid off of their jobs and they need that $600. There's people that made more than $600 a week. So now $600 a week is just a little bit of what they were used to making, and it hurts when you owe for your home, you owe for your car, you owe all kinds of credit card debt and stuff. There's people that are hurting, and I understand that, and it should be, I believe, if they're going to extend the $600, I think would be a good thing, but have it set up where if the place that you'd worked at prior, if they need you, they go into the unemployment system. Me owning a business, I'll tell you how this works. If somebody quits working for me or they get laid off, this is how it would go. They would go apply for unemployment insurance if they want to. The state will send me a letter and say they've applied for insurance. What was their reasoning for leaving? If they just quit, they don't qualify for unemployment insurance. But if they have left voluntarily, that's their will, they can do it. But now if I fired them, laid them off, there's certain things that they can draw for. So if I don't want them to draw it, because what happens is my unemployment rate will go up. The percentage that's held out of people's pay that my business has to pay for, then that goes up. So I could say, hey, that person just quit. They really didn't get laid off. I've never, ever, though, I'll tell you, never, ever protested anybody wanting to get unemployment. I just accepted it and went right along, even though some quit or whatever. I just never did it. But they do send you out a letter, and you can protest it, and then they can actually have a hearing. If it gets bad enough, they'll have a hearing in between you and the person, and you can hold up their getting unemployment. But you could easily go in and say, hey, we're back working now. We shut down 6 months because of the COVID. Now we're open back up. I'm ready for them. They need to come back to work. And if your job's available and you can go to work, I know there's circumstances, maybe you'd go to your doctor and your doctor would say, I do not recommend this individual going back to work in the midst of this pandemic because of their health situation. But like I say, most people that are not working because of that are going and playing, going on vacations, doing all kinds of other things. Now, I know a few that have really isolated and doing what they think is right for them and their family, and I don't hold that against them, and I realize people need help. I got to make a living. I went ahead and went to work. I've chose to do that. I've risked my life, but I have to. But I feel like I risk my life every day. I'm on the road a lot during the daytime. I'm risking my life just driving, because we've had more people killed in automobile accidents right here in our little community than we have the virus. So, I feel like because of this, I'm risking my life every day anyway, and that's a risk that I have to take into account. I deal with electricity. I work with a lot of electrical stuff, and there's always a risk of getting electrocuted. People do. It's a real slim thing, but I have known people over the years that have been in my trade that have gotten electrocuted and killed or harmed very, very badly from that. There's dangers out there is what I'm saying. And everything's got some dangers. We run risks. So you have to weigh the risk and see for yourself. And that's what we have done. I have a friend that has a business, and he got the virus and died. And it probably because he kept on working, but he had bills to pay and things we had to do. And I feel for him. It's been a bad deal. But what I'm saying with all that is the government could do some things, but we have a bunch of people, I feel like, that are drawing money that need to go back to work. But they're trying to keep extending this to slow our economy. And even though as much as they've tried, our economy keeps clicking along. And I believe it's just because God is supernaturally blessing, because people are praying and are humbling themselves before God, like the Bible tells us to do. So, but there's plenty of ungodliness, and that ungodliness is going to continue to work in the evil forces that's out there. And there's foreign countries that I believe, especially China, that wants to bring us down. I believe this virus was promoted by China. That's why I call it the Kung Flu. That's what it is. The president, I think, calls it the China flu or something like that. The China virus, whatever it is. I call it the Kung Flu. A lot of people around here call it the Kung Flu. But the thing is, I believe they attacked us. And I believe they're trying to bring us down. And I think they're doing other things. If you haven't noticed or haven't caught this lately, the news here has had, if you get a package of seeds in the mail, don't plant them. If you didn't order them, whatever, and if they say China on them, they've sent seeds out to people around here wanting you to plant them, and they believe they could be hazardous, invasive species, could be something in them, whatever. Why are they sending this stuff? Other people are getting other things that they didn't order. It's very concerning at what they're up to, and I think it's there's forces out there besides our domestic. There's domestic people that believe if we were to be brought down, that they could introduce another way, socialism, their form of socialism, and that we would come out of this smelling like a rose. No country that's ever done socialism has been successful. Those that have done communism, they end up failing. We are democracy, and we're losing our democracy. We're losing our freedoms every day. So we're about to be brought down. Things are, and the Bible tells us, eventually God's going to lift His hand back, and He's going to let the evil ones get what they got coming, and it's coming. So we had to prepare ourselves. So let's look at just for a minute, what if this all happens? Let's say that, well, I believe it's happening. It's already happened. But the prices in the grocery stores are going to go up. The prices are going to go up in the grocery stores. So let me explain something to you. Josie sent me to the stores a year or two ago. I rarely go into a grocery store, but she sent me to the store. She called and she said, I need you to pick me up a pound of bacon. So I go into the grocery store, and it had been a long time since I had bought bacon. And you'll know this for what I'm about to say. But I go in the store to buy bacon, and the bacon is $3 or $4 for a package, and one I picked up was only like 12 ounces instead of being a pound. So I'm like, wow, what's the deal here? And I'm looking for the section that's less than $1 a pound. And because used to, that's what you could, there was always an area of bacon for less than $1 a pound. Well, those aren't here anymore. There's not any less than $1 a pound. I was just shocked. So I go ahead and buy what I gotta buy, and I come home and I said, honey, they ain't got any less than $1 a pound. She said, honey, that's been gone a long time ago. So I was shocked at some of the prices. I'm still shocked. Even since then, if I ever go in the store, I'm like, things are going up. So prices are going to increase. So even though you've made more money at work, it's going to take more of your money to succeed. When I was a kid, we didn't have any money. My folks didn't have money to speak of. I remember my mom taking us kids to the fair. They had a county fair, her and her sister. And when we got up there, you paid so much to get an armband that day where you could ride all the rides. It was during the middle of the day. There wasn't a whole lot of people there. So us kids could just ride, all we wanted to do. But we had no money to buy any kind of refreshments, go out to eat, or anything like that. And we were very thirsty after we got done. And we were on our way home. And Mom told her sister, said, do you have some money? Said, maybe we could stop in here and we would get, there's 5 of us kids, so, and then my mom and her sister. So she said, maybe we could scrape up enough money, we could all get a small fountain drink of soda. And we did, and it was really good. But they scraped up enough money together to go in. I don't remember what the price was, nothing like that. But I remember we just didn't have any money. There was no money just to go do things with. And we're going to head back into those times. But I heard that Herman Cain made a comment about being poor. He grew up poor, but they had happiness. And there's a lot of people that would not find any kind of happiness or contentment growing up poor. And I believe if you don't have God in your life, I don't think you'll ever have peace and contentment like you really want. But to some people, temporarily, they find happiness in having wealth. And some folks have to go have a vacation. They got to have the latest car. They got to have the latest clothes to be happy. And if they lose those things, they're not going to be happy anymore. But we grew up poor and we had happiness. And that's one thing I can relate to. We were a happy family. We enjoyed things. And when you did get a treat, like just a little cup of soda, pop, whatever, you didn't ask what kind. You just accepted what they brought you. If they brought you Coke, fine. If it was Dr. Pepper, fine. We didn't care. But we were so glad to get it. I remember the first time I ever got an icy. We went to I believe it was Tulsa for some reason. Tulsa's a big city. And somebody said, let's stop and get an icy. And I had never heard of such a thing. So they went in and got ices and brought me one back. And I thought that was the best thing since sliced bread. It tasted so good. Now you can go anywhere and get an icy. It's not no big deal. But we appreciated the little things, little treats that you got every once in a while. And we rarely got pop because we couldn't afford it. We had lots of tea, lots of sweet tea. We drank lots of tea growing up. Others said they drank lots of Kool-Aid growing up because it was cheap. But we had happiness. We sat down and visited. We talked to each other. There were some things. But as we go along here and people begin to lose their wealth, lose what they have, they're going to be very disappointed. Some folks have lost money in the stock market. I want to say something about the stock market, though. A lot of advisors I've listened to said to leave your money alone. If you have it in a 401k, you have it somewhere, leave your money alone. Don't take your money out. But sadly, when it started dropping, a lot of people just took their money out and then they lost big time. Well, the stock market's come back and even doing better, so you would have been better to have left your money alone. But I had a friend that used to get in the cattle business, and then when the cattle prices were high, he would decide he wanted to get in the cattle business. So when baby calves, weaned calves are selling really good, then cow prices go up, the mama cows. Well, he would go buy then. Well, in a year or two, what always goes up comes back down, and the price would drop, and then he would go sell these high dollar cows he'd bought, and he would lose money, and he would say, oh, there ain't no money in cattle, no money in cattle. Well, it was because of the way he bought. He did not buy the right way. He should have got into it when they were low and then sold when they was high. But if you go backwards with it, and a lot of people sell when things are low, and one thing is, if you ain't got much money and you're like you've really earned and worked it, it's hard to take that risk, I know that people will go put their money in a slot machine somewhere and take that risk, and it don't bother them at all, but to just trust that things are going to work out. And like I say, I hope things don't, but what's happening right now, food and stuff's going to skyrocket. The Bible tells us it's going to skyrocket. We know that there's a day coming where it's going to take a day's wage, according to the Bible, just to buy a loaf of bread. We know there's a day coming when everyone will have to receive a mark in their right hand or their forehead, called the mark of the beast. And to be able to buy or sell, you'll have to have that. There's a day coming. And there are forces that are working towards that. They don't even realize what they're working for. There's people that are promoting these things that don't even understand what they're promoting, and they get mad at people like me that are against these things, and they say, you just don't like change. Well, I say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And our system is not broke. In the United States, I don't know how it is in your other countries. I know a lot of you are in other countries, and you comment to me in your countries, in Africa, overseas, trying to think some of the countries, Europe, Australia, wherever you are. It's probably different there, but but here in the United States, if you'll work, and it's probably that way in your country, if you'll actually work, you can be successful. Anybody, no matter what nationality they are here, no matter what their color of their skin, if they will work, put these hands to work, do something constructive, they'll be successful. But those that wait upon the government are never successful. It don't matter what color skin they are, they stay under their control and under their leadership, and they fall. So what we have to do, because what if things happen here, our economy crashes, we got to take care of our own. You got to put these hands to work. Get your mind to work. Pray. Study about it. See what to do. So what will happen is things will get so high. Some people think it'll just all of a sudden just run out. I think people will have money because the government's watering our money down. We'll have money, you just won't be able to buy things. You know, buying an automobile will get so much harder. Buying a new home, it already is. It gets, for young people to get into a new home is just almost impossible. For a young person to want to have a farm and buy cattle and stuff is almost impossible. If you don't have somebody that you inherit from or some way like that, it is very, very hard. Land and homes and vehicles and all that is just skyrocketing. And it's going to get much, much worse. There's going to be a bunch of people lose their vehicles, lose their homes, lose what they got. If you can get out of debt at all, credit card companies are cutting people's credit limits down. I have an American Express card. The bill has always been kept paid. I've done what I was supposed to do. They lowered my credit limit today for no reason. Just lowered it. I've heard other people saying that their credit card companies just totally cut them off, so they weren't going to give them that anymore. And they had their credit was, my credit's fine, everything's great. Now, I've had times in my life when it wasn't, and I went through some rough times. I've learned and wised up. But I'm telling you, they're doing it, these credit card companies, because they know there is rough times coming. Some say, well, if President Trump gets elected, we'll be fine. No, we're still going to have trouble sometimes. We've already spent too much money. We've went too far. Our country's gone the wrong way. The whole world is in this thing, and it's going the wrong way. And it may be a slow thing. We're like a sleeping giant here, and it's been referred to the country. And the whole world is this way. It takes a while, and we're going to see the after effects of this, but it may take 2 or 3 years to come along. We could get a leader in office that would make things worse for us in a financial situation. Maybe not. Maybe they would make it better, but I don't see. Anyway, I believe the handwriting is on the wall that things are going to get bad. And I think when the economy gets bad, people will lose their jobs, and they'll really lose their job. There's going to come a time when people's going to lose their job, and they won't have this extra $600 a week, may not even be able to draw unemployment at all. And bad things are coming. So how can you prepare? I recommend having $1,000 cash, some way that you can get it. Your other money, I don't know that you need to save a whole lot of other money other than to invest in yourself, invest in your infrastructure, pay off your debts. Go buy things like you can buy and store food back. You can buy things like through FoodWise, dried foods and things like that. You can buy coffee. Order in, you say, well, coffee, why? Well, I don't like coffee. Well, buy coffee and you could barter with it, but coffee's going to go up. That's something that, and if we were to break out in war or something else on top of all this going on, a lot of stuff would not be available. So you could take a can of coffee, go trade to somebody that maybe they have a gallon of milk or whatever. Some are buying up liquor. I don't know that I recommend that, but if, it is something that people will want liquor. Some would use liquor for medicinal purposes. There's so many different things that you could do to invest in right now. I had an old neighbor man here that told me he wished that he would have bought an 18-wheeler of field fence. And field fence is, I call it hog wire usually, but it's a fence that goes up. You can get different heights, and it's in a big row, usually 330-foot row. But he had bought some and fenced in his entire place, and he was going to fence in more like 20 years later, and the price had like tripled. And he said, if I would have bought that and had somewhere to put it, that would have been like gold. It went up more than the price of gold. It would have been a great investment. So if you invest in what you can, I don't recommend going out and foolishly doing things. You know, some people will go out and say for food, they go out and buy 100 loaves of bread, and they buy 100 boxes of crackers, and all these different things that are going to spoil and ruin, and keep things that will last you, and but things that you could barter in the event of a bad situation. And you can always, in things that maybe you have coffee and stuff, if you're a coffee drinker, you can always use it. If it's in a can of coffee that's sealed in a metal can or a plastic can, that stuff will last forever. And buying up things that will invest in you, because what happens, I believe it won't be just like overnight all of a sudden the stock market crashes and that type. It's going to be a slow, painful process that will come on, and it will catch up with us, and then it will be so hard to ever recover back from it. This is going to set us back. I think countries thought it would drop us just instantly, but we're such a big machine, the United States, like a big freight train. It's going to be hard to stop and slow us down. But getting prepared for just in case. And anyway, I appreciate you watching today. I've went on long enough, I believe, and I can't see the timer on my camera with the way the lighting is right now today. It's raining out here, and we're so thankful for the rain. We've gotten 2 or 3 inches of rain the past few days, and it's raining right now, and we were certainly needing it, and we thank the Lord for it. And but I'm going to get off here for today. I hope you're doing well. Comment down below how you are preparing for a financial calamity. How are you doing? What are you doing to prepare for this coming thing? I see the handwriting on the wall. I don't know how it's inevitable, but I believe it's coming. Anyway, we appreciate you watching today. May God richly bless you, and we'll see you next week, next Tuesday, 7 o'clock. The Lord willing, we're gone.